All right, some breaking news now in the presidential race. Dr. Ben Carson is officially dropping out. A short time ago, the retired neurosurgeon told the Conservative Political Action Conference that he is leaving the campaign trail. Carson's announcement hardly a surprise. He skipped last night's Fox News debate after doing poorly on Super Tuesday.
In Fox 5 Health News, some alarming information about infections picked up at hospitals. The CDC says super germs cause 1 out of 7 infections caught there, and that includes bacteria resistant to many types of antibiotics, leaving hospitals with few, if any, medicines to fight potentially dangerous infections.
All right, joining us now, Fox 5 medical contributor Dr. Devi Nampiaparampil, and this is pretty frightening. This is for a long time we just threw antibiotics at everything. And we didn't finish the prescription, and now they don't work like they used to.
What happens? Exactly. So that's a big problem. And the other problem is also when people go to the hospital, you know, they get exposed to antibiotics and you have these superbugs developing. They're developing like mutations, kind of like the same way that if you get vaccinated, right, you get a small dose of something and then your body figures out how to fight it. Same thing is happening with superbugs. If they get exposed to a little bit of antibiotic and they figure out how to fight it, then they can fight it for the rest of their lives and pass that on. But in the hospital, it's sort of like a petri dish or breeding ground for these types of things where they can pass to other people or other patients who are healthy. And that's one of the biggest dangers here.
All right, if you're going to visit a friend in the hospital, what are some things you should do?
Well, if you're going in, I mean, try to minimize your time. Always wash your hands, you know, if possible, use the alcohol-based hand sanitizers. But it's not so much the visitors that are in danger as the patients themselves, because most likely if they're in the hospital, their immune system is already a little bit weak, right? And the second thing I tell people is if you're pretty healthy, you know, don't try to get hospitalized. I know it sounds funny, but most people think that a hospital is a safer place to be. Right. Not necessarily if you're not that sick.
That's an interesting point, because a lot of times now you feel like insurance is rushing you out of the hospital.
Right. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, you might want to be at home. I mean, there's obviously
yeah, perhaps. I mean, it depends on your situation, but you're right, because people stay a long time, and sometimes they also think, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't move as much in the hospital. I should just rest. But that's not necessarily true either. I mean, the less that you move, the more likely you are to have tubes in your body, right? We all get IVs. I mean, some people get those urinary catheters. So the bacteria that's normally on your skin can actually climb on those lines and get into your bloodstream or get into your bladder and body. And that's how a lot of these infections get spread.
Frightening.
So keep it moving.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Boy, that's a lot to think about. And we had a little bit of snow earlier this morning, but overall it has been a very easy winter. We basically had the blizzard that one day, it melted and that was that. But that means allergy season looks like it's going to start earlier this year. And that's bad news for people who suffer from this, myself included. It's going to be a rough one.
Me too. I already felt like I had watery eyes earlier today. I mean, I can't complain about the weather, but the thing is, you know, with the milder weather, we have flowers in bloom earlier. The trees are actually starting to release pollen too. So for people who have seasonal allergies, this is potentially a bigger problem. Now, there's not much you can do about the pollen itself, but, you know, you can also check. If you go see an allergist, you can find out if you have other allergies, because I think for some people, it's actually the dust when they turn on the AC or turn off the heaters when they make those switches, right? There's dust, there can be mold in there, so clean out those filters, change those things. And then also, you know, if you get tested for allergies and find out that you're allergic to something, I mean, the best thing is to get rid of the allergen, right? But if that's not possible, then usually, I mean, you have a choice of different types of medications that you might use. I usually recommend if you can do something local first, meaning if your eyes are watery, maybe eye drops are better than taking a medication that affects your whole body, right?
That's good advice.
If your nose is running, there are different types of steroid drops and stuff like that that you can use for your nose, as opposed to, again, working on your whole body.
Is that over the counter, or is that like a prescription?
There are over-the-counter ones that work on your whole body, and the drops, it depends, but a lot of them are prescription. I'm not sure exactly why it's so different, but I think they're a little safer.
The nose is sort of my thing. I know when we're in the peak allergy season.
Yeah.
It's just like,
oh, well, there are different kinds.
Yeah.
You're right. So there's some that actually stop the congestion, so that's how they work, but there are other ones that actually are steroid-based, so those are usually prescription. But it depends. The steroid calms down your immune system, because what the problem is in allergies is that your body thinks that the pollen or whatever else is a virus or bacteria and attacks it, and because your body is the battleground, it gets damaged and you have symptoms.
All right, I'm going to get you a neti pot.
Oh, I have one of those, actually.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
All right, good for you.
They do work. I can't stick with them, but, you know, there's here and there. All right, thanks, Dr. Devi. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
And, Nick, so we're just going to get through this weekend. The map's blue behind you, and then we got a nice warm-up on the way eventually.